If you've eaten out in Canada lately, you've probably noticed something. Restaurants are getting expensive, like shockingly expensive. You go out for dinner, order 2 entrees, maybe share a dessert, and somehow the bill is pushing $90 before tip. So when people see a buffet for $30 or $40, the brain does a little calculation and says, unlimited food? That's actually a pretty good deal. And buffets are supposed to be the ultimate value dining experience. You pay once, you eat whatever you want, you leave feeling like you beat the system. But there's one problem. Buffets are also one of the hardest restaurant formats in the world to run safely. Food sitting out, hundreds of people touching utensils, dozens of dishes that all have to stay at the exact right temperature. According to the Public Health Agency of Canada, 4 million Canadians get food poisoning every year. And when restaurants start cutting corners to save money, buffets are usually where those corners show up first. So today we looked at 8 buffet, or all-you-can-eat, restaurant chains in Canada that have raised concerns over the years. We reviewed Toronto's Dine Safe program records, Peel Region health inspections, customer complaints, news reports, and former employee accounts. Now, to be fair, not every location of these restaurants is unsafe, but when the same types of issues keep appearing across multiple places, it's worth paying attention. And the #1 restaurant on this list is a place that thousands of Canadians visit every week without thinking twice. Let's get into it. Number 8, Pizza Hut lunch buffets. Most Canadians don't even realize Pizza Hut buffets still exist, but in some locations, especially in smaller cities, the classic all-you-can-eat pizza lunch buffet is still alive. For a lot of people, it's nostalgia. Unlimited pizza, unlimited pasta, cheap lunch. But structurally, pizza buffets have a major problem. Pizza simply does not hold well under heat lamps. After about 30 or 40 minutes, the cheese starts drying out, the toppings get rubbery, and the crust turns into something closer to cardboard than bread. Former employees have described online that during slow periods, pizzas sometimes sit under heat lamps far longer than they should because management is trying to control food waste. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency recommends hot foods be kept above 60 degrees Celsius, but heat lamps don't always distribute temperature evenly. The danger zone is between 4 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius. Bacteria can double every 20 minutes in this range. That means slices sitting on the edges of the tray can cool down faster than the ones in the middle. If you walk up to a buffet and see cheese hardened around the edges, pepperoni curled like a bowl, or crust that snaps like a cracker, that pizza has probably been there for a while. Verdict: the Pizza Hut buffet can be great when the restaurant is busy, but when it's slow, you might be eating slices that have been sitting there longer than your lunch break. Number 7, Smitty's Family Restaurant Buffets. Smitty's calls itself Canada's original family restaurant. The chain dates back to 1960 and still has dozens of locations across Western Canada. Breakfast buffets, pancakes, eggs, bacon, the kind of place grandparents take the whole family. But inspection reports across several provinces have documented violations at some locations over the years, involving issues like improper food storage, temperature control problems, and sanitation concerns. Those violations are not unusual in the restaurant industry, but they become more concerning in buffet environments, where food can sit out for extended periods and cross-contamination becomes a risk. Former workers have also described breakfast buffet items like eggs and sausages sitting in warming trays longer than recommended during slow periods. And eggs are one of the foods bacteria love the most, when they sit in the temperature danger zone. So again, not every Smitty's buffet is a problem, but like most buffets, the safety depends heavily on how carefully that specific location is managed. Number 6, Tucker's Marketplace. If you grew up in Ontario in the 1990s or early 2000s, Tucker's Marketplace was almost legendary. Huge buffet spreads, carving stations, seafood, and dessert tables that felt like they went on forever. It was the place families went for birthdays and big celebrations. But the chain has struggled over the past few years. Several locations closed during financial restructuring, and the company shrank significantly. And when buffet chains start shrinking rapidly, that often means something is happening behind the scenes. Cost cutting, reduced staffing, less oversight. Recent customer reviews frequently mention issues like lukewarm soup, dried out hot dishes, and buffet trays not being replaced quickly. Those complaints alone don't prove safety issues, but they do highlight the biggest buffet risk: food sitting out too long. When buffets are busy, turnover is constant. When they're quiet, trays can sit for long stretches, and that's when problems start. Breadsticks operates almost the same way behind the scenes. Large batches of soup held in warming containers, salad ingredients prepped in bulk, breadsticks reheated constantly throughout the day. Several inspection reports across Ontario have documented violations at certain locations over the years, involving food storage issues, sanitation concerns, and pest activity. One Hamilton location even made headlines when it was temporarily closed after health inspectors intervened. Again, this doesn't mean the entire chain has problems, but unlimited refill systems rely on bulk containers that can sit for hours, which creates the same risks you see in buffet environments. Number 4, casino and hotel buffets. Casino buffets look incredible. Seafood towers, prime rib carving stations, chocolate fountains. But behind the scenes, they are some of the most complicated food service operations in Canada. Hundreds of diners moving through at once, dozens of dishes across multiple stations, food sometimes transported from large central kitchens. Inspection data across several provinces has shown hospitality venues frequently receive violations involving temperature control, improper food storage, and sanitation issues. Former workers have also described a common practice in buffet environments called topping up trays. Instead of replacing an older tray completely, fresh food is simply added on top. It makes the buffet look full and fresh, but it can mix new food with older food that has already been sitting out. And that's exactly the kind of thing food safety guidelines warn against. Number 3, Dragon Pearl Buffet. Dragon Pearl Buffet is one of the biggest Asian buffet restaurants in the Toronto area. Huge selection: dim sum, stir fry, sushi, desserts. But the biggest concerns raised in reviews involve the sushi and sashimi stations. Raw fish is one of the most delicate foods in restaurant safety. It has to stay below 4 degrees Celsius and be served quickly. Several diners have described sushi trays that appeared to have been sitting out for a long time, with dried rice and slightly discolored fish. Inspection records in Toronto's DineSafe system have also documented violations at certain locations involving sanitation and temperature control. And when raw fish is involved, those issues become far more serious. Number 2, Mandarin Restaurant. If you're from Ontario, this one might sting a little. Mandarin is probably the most famous buffet chain in Canada. Founded in Brampton in 1979, the chain now operates over 30 locations across southern Ontario. Birthday dinners, graduations, family celebrations. For many Canadians, Mandarin is the buffet experience. But public inspection databases show several locations have received conditional passes at various times. These can include violations involving temperature control, sanitation, and pest issues. Conditional passes do not mean the restaurant is unsafe, but when they appear repeatedly, it can suggest operational challenges. And when you're running a buffet with over 100 dishes, consistency becomes extremely difficult. And finally, number 1, Tandoori Flame. If you live anywhere near the GTA, you've probably heard of it. Massive dining rooms, huge Indian buffet spreads, one of the most famous buffet brands in Canada. But the very thing that makes Tandoori Flame impressive is also what makes it difficult to manage: scale. You're talking about dozens of curry dishes, rice trays, fried appetizers, salads, desserts, and tandoori meats, all sitting on a buffet line while hundreds of customers cycle through. And inspection records from Peel Region have documented enforcement action at a Tandoori Flame location in the past, including closure orders tied to sanitation and pest control concerns. Customer reviews online also frequently mention issues with cleanliness and inconsistent food quality. And Indian buffet food presents its own challenges. Sauce dishes can hide age better than dry foods. Rice, if improperly held, is one of the most common causes of foodborne illness worldwide, specifically from Bacillus cereus bacteria that thrives when rice sits in the danger zone. And fried appetizers can sit far longer than they should because they still look fine even when they've been sitting. So the risk here is not necessarily one bad restaurant. It's the sheer size and complexity of the operation. The bigger the buffet, the harder it becomes to keep everything perfectly controlled. So does this mean you should never eat at a buffet again? No, not necessarily. But experts recommend watching for a few warning signs. If you see dried out food, lukewarm dishes, messy serving stations, or trays that don't seem to be replaced, those are red flags. The safest buffets are the ones where food turnover is fast and staff are actively monitoring the stations. Because in buffet dining, the most important ingredient isn't the food, it's how quickly it gets replaced. And now I'm curious, what's the worst buffet experience you've had in Canada? Because if you start asking people about buffets, the stories get wild. Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video interesting, subscribe, because Canada's restaurant industry has a lot more secrets than people realize.